Welcome, brave souls, to Whispers in the Dark, your go-to channel for spine-chilling tales and haunted histories. Here, we delve deep into the eerie corners of the world, where shadows whisper secrets and walls echo with stories untold. Today, we embark on a chilling journey through one of the most tumultuous periods in American history, the Civil War. This conflict, which tore the nation apart from 1861 to 1865, left behind not only scars on the land but also lingering spirits that refused to rest. The Civil War was a crucible of human suffering, marked by countless battles, sieges, and tragedies that claimed over 600,000 lives. It was a time when brother fought against brother, and communities were shattered. Yet, long after the cannons fell silent and the smoke cleared, whispers of those who perished remain. These spectral echoes are heard in the rustling leaves of battlefields, seen in the flickering lights of old mansions, and felt in the cold drafts that sweep through abandoned forts. In this series, we will explore the most haunted Civil War sites across the United States, places where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. From the blood-soaked grounds of Gettysburg to the ghostly corridors of antebellum homes, each location holds its own dark secrets and spectral inhabitants. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, prepare to have your curiosity piqued and your courage tested as we venture into the unknown. So grab your flashlight, keep your wits about you, and join us as we step into the shadows of America's past. Let the whispers begin. The haunting legacy of Gettysburg, a battlefield steeped in ghosts. Among the myriad haunted sites scattered throughout the United States, few hold as ominous a reputation as the Gettysburg battlefield. Nestled in the heart of Pennsylvania, this hallowed ground witnessed one of the bloodiest confrontations of the Civil War, culminating in a staggering loss of life that has left an indelible mark on both history and the supernatural realm. Over 3 harrowing days in July 1863, more than 50,000 soldiers, Union and Confederate alike, were killed, wounded, or declared missing. The sheer magnitude of death and destruction that unfolded here has transformed Gettysburg into a nexus of paranormal activity, drawing ghost hunters, historians, and curious visitors alike. The battlefield's haunting legacy is deeply intertwined with the tragic events of those fateful days. Soldiers who charged across the open fields under relentless cannon fire, comrades who fell side by side in the infamous Pickett's charge, and civilians caught in the crossfire, all contribute to the spectral tapestry that blankets the area. Reports of ghostly apparitions are rampant, with eyewitnesses describing encounters with soldiers in tattered uniforms, their faces etched with the anguish of battle. Some claim to see these figures reenacting scenes from the war, marching in formation or collapsing in agony, while others report hearing the distant boom of artillery and the anguished cries of the dying. One of the most frequently reported phenomena involves the Devil's Den, a rocky outcropping that served as a strategic stronghold during the battle. Visitors recount chilling experiences here, including sudden drops in temperature, disembodied voices echoing through the boulders, and shadowy figures darting between the rocks. Paranormal investigators have captured compelling evidence at this site, such as EVP recordings of faint whispers and photographs showing translucent forms standing amidst the ruins. The Devil's Den is said to be particularly active at night, when the absence of modern distractions amplifies the sense of unease. Another hotspot of supernatural activity lies within the confines of the Jenny Wade house, the only civilian residence struck by a bullet during the battle. Jenny Wade, a young woman baking bread for Union soldiers, was tragically killed when a stray bullet pierced the door and struck her in the back. Her spirit is believed to haunt the house, with many visitors reporting strange occurrences such as doors slamming shut on their own, the sound of footsteps ascending the staircase, and the faint smell of freshly baked bread wafting through the air. Some even claim to have seen Jenny herself, her ghostly form lingering near the very spot where she met her untimely end. The broader battlefield itself serves as a stage for residual hauntings, moments frozen in time that play out like a macabre film reel. Tourists walking along the now peaceful fields often describe feeling an inexplicable heaviness in the air, as if the weight of countless souls still lingers. Others report witnessing phantom armies materializing before vanishing into thin air, their movements eerily synchronized with historical accounts of troop movements. These manifestations are believed to be imprints of the intense emotions experienced during the battle, forever etched into the fabric of the landscape. Gettysburg's status as a paranormal hotspot extends beyond anecdotal reports. It has become a focal point for scientific investigation into the supernatural. Teams armed with infrared cameras, EMF detectors, and audio recording equipment have conducted numerous studies, capturing data that defies conventional explanation. Thermal imaging footage reveals unexplained heat signatures moving across the battlefield, while audio analyses uncover distinct voices speaking in dialects consistent with those used during the Civil War era. Such findings lend credence to the notion that the spirits of Gettysburg's fallen soldiers continue to roam the grounds, perhaps seeking closure or simply unable to leave the place where they drew their last breath. What sets Gettysburg apart from other haunted locations is its unique blend of historical significance and spectral intrigue. Unlike abandoned buildings or isolated forests, this battlefield is a living monument to the sacrifices made during the Civil War. Its carefully preserved landscapes and meticulously maintained monuments serve as tangible reminders of the cost of freedom, yet they also harbor unseen forces that challenge our understanding of life and death. For those who dare to visit, Gettysburg offers a rare opportunity to engage with history in a profoundly visceral way, to walk among the ghosts of the past and feel the weight of their unfinished stories. As we continue our exploration of haunted Civil War sites, let us carry with us the lessons of Gettysburg. This battlefield is not merely a repository of ghost stories. It is a testament to the enduring power of memory and the resilience of the human spirit. It reminds us that the echoes of war reverberate far beyond the immediate aftermath, shaping the collective consciousness of generations to come. And so, as you wander the sacred grounds of Gettysburg, remember, every step you take may bring you closer to encountering a soul bound to this place by threads of sorrow, sacrifice, and the eternal quest for peace. Antietam National Battlefield, where death lingers in the air. Few places in the United States bear the weight of history as heavily as Antietam National Battlefield in Maryland. Known as the site of the single bloodiest day in American history, September 17, 1862, saw over 23,000 soldiers killed, wounded, or missing in a brutal clash between Union and Confederate forces. The battlefield, now preserved as a solemn memorial to the fallen, stands as a stark reminder of the horrors of war. Yet beneath its serene surface lies a darker narrative, one where the spirits of the slain seem unwilling or unable to leave the fields where they perished. Antietam's haunted reputation is rooted in the sheer scale of carnage that unfolded there. The fighting raged across three key areas: the cornfield, Bloody Lane, and Burnside Bridge, each bearing witness to unspeakable violence. At the cornfield, soldiers advanced and retreated repeatedly, their bodies trampled underfoot as the tide of battle shifted. In Bloody Lane, a sunken road became a killing zone, its confined space amplifying the chaos and gore. Burnside Bridge, spanning Antietam Creek, earned its infamy as a choke point where Union troops suffered devastating losses under relentless Confederate fire. These locations, once soaked with blood, now serve as epicenters of paranormal activity, where visitors report unnerving encounters with the restless dead. One of the most commonly shared experiences involves sightings of ghostly soldiers wandering the battlefield. Eyewitnesses describe seeing men in tattered Civil War uniforms, their faces pale and hollow-eyed, moving silently through the fields or standing motionless near the landmarks of combat. Some appear disoriented, as though searching for something, or someone, while others seem locked in the throes of battle, raising rifles or charging forward before vanishing into thin air. One visitor recounted spotting a group of spectral figures near the cornfield, their translucent forms shimmering in the moonlight as they reenacted a charge that ended in slaughter. When approached, the figures dissolved into mist, leaving behind an oppressive silence that seemed to permeate the very earth. Sound phenomena are equally prevalent at Antietam, adding another layer of eeriness to the experience. Many who walk the battlefield report hearing the unmistakable sounds of warfare, the thunderous roar of cannon fire, the sharp crack of muskets, and the anguished cries of wounded soldiers. These auditory hallucinations occur without warning, often startling visitors who expect nothing but the peaceful rustle of leaves and chirping of birds. One particularly chilling account comes from a park ranger who was conducting a routine patrol late at night. As he passed through Bloody Lane, he suddenly heard the clamor of battle erupt around him, shouts, screams, and the metallic clatter of bayonets colliding. Cold spots, a hallmark of paranormal activity, are frequently reported across the battlefield. Visitors describe abrupt drops in temperature, sometimes accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread or sadness. These anomalies are especially pronounced near Bloody Lane, where the stench of death once hung thick in the air. Some claim that stepping into these icy pockets feels like entering a different realm, as though the veil between worlds has grown perilously thin. Others report physical sensations, such as being brushed by unseen hands or feeling a heavy weight pressing down on their shoulders, as if the anguish of the fallen weighs upon them. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of Antietam's haunting is the recurring theme of unfinished business. Historical records indicate that many soldiers died anonymously, their bodies hastily buried in shallow graves or left to rot in the sun. This lack of proper burial has fueled speculation that their spirits remain tethered to the battlefield, unable to move on until their identities are acknowledged or their remains are properly interred. Visitors have described moments of profound connection, such as hearing whispered names or seeing inscriptions scrawled in dirt or fog, seemingly urging them to remember those lost to history. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to Antietam, intrigued by its reputation as a hotbed of residual and intelligent hauntings. Using tools like thermal cameras, electromagnetic field detectors, and digital recorders, researchers have captured compelling evidence of supernatural activity. One team reported capturing a photograph of a soldier-like figure standing atop a hill, his silhouette illuminated by the glow of dawn, a poignant reminder of those who stood watch over the same horizon nearly 2 centuries ago. What makes Antietam uniquely terrifying is the visceral connection it fosters between the living and the dead. Unlike other haunted locations tied to individual tragedies, Antietam embodies collective trauma on an almost incomprehensible scale. Walking through the fields, one cannot help but feel overwhelmed by the enormity of what transpired there. The ground itself seems saturated with sorrow, each blade of grass and patch of dirt imbued with the memory of lives cut tragically short. For those brave enough to visit, Antietam offers a sobering glimpse into humanity's capacity for cruelty, and perhaps a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. Yet, it also serves as a chilling testament to the idea that some wounds never fully heal. Whether viewed as a sacred memorial or a haunted battlefield, Antietam continues to resonate with the echoes of its past, ensuring that the voices of its victims will never be silenced. The Slaughter Pen Farm, a field of eternal agony nestled within the sprawling expanse of Antietam National Battlefield, lies the Slaughter Pen Farm, a haunting stretch of land that earned its grim moniker during the blood-soaked hours of September 17, 1862. This section of the battlefield, located near the southern end of the conflict, became a killing ground where Union and Confederate forces engaged in savage hand-to-hand combat. The farm, with its rolling hills and dense clusters of trees, provided little cover for soldiers caught in the crossfire. What began as a tactical maneuver devolved into a frenzied melee, leaving hundreds dead or dying in a matter of hours. Today, the Slaughter Pen Farm stands as one of the most intensely haunted sites within Antietam, its soil seemingly steeped in the anguish of those who perished there. Visitors to the Slaughter Pen Farm often describe an atmosphere unlike any other part of the battlefield. The air feels heavier here, laden with an unshakable sense of foreboding. Those who tread upon its grounds report experiencing vivid and disturbing phenomena that defy rational explanation. One of the most common encounters involves sightings of ghostly soldiers locked in perpetual combat. Witnesses describe seeing shadowy figures wielding bayonets, grappling with unseen foes, or collapsing to the ground in silent agony. These apparitions appear lifelike, their movements fluid and purposeful, before fading into the ether as abruptly as they emerged. Some claim to have felt the sensation of phantom blades grazing their skin or the weight of invisible hands clutching at their clothing, as though the spirits of fallen warriors seek to pull them into the fray. Sound phenomena are particularly pronounced at the Slaughter Pen Farm. The faint echoes of battle reverberate through the air, audible even when no wind stirs the trees. Visitors recount hearing the clanging of steel against steel, the guttural shouts of men locked in mortal struggle, and the pitiful moans of the wounded crying out for aid. These auditory hallucinations are so vivid that many initially mistake them for live reenactments, only to realize there is no visible source for the commotion. One chilling account involves a family picnicking near the edge of the farm who suddenly found themselves surrounded by the cacophony of war. Their dog cowered and whimpered, reacting to sounds they could not hear, while the children screamed and clung to their parents. When the noise abruptly ceased, an eerie stillness settled over the area, leaving the family too shaken to remain. Cold spots, a hallmark of paranormal activity, abound throughout the slaughter pen farm. These pockets of frigid air manifest unpredictably, sending shivers down the spines of unsuspecting visitors. Some report feeling an overwhelming wave of despair wash over them as they step into these zones, as though the collective grief of the fallen saturates the environment. Others describe physical sensations akin to being touched or pushed by unseen hands, accompanied by a suffocating pressure that makes it difficult to breathe. One investigator conducting a nighttime expedition claimed to have been grabbed by an invisible force near a cluster of boulders, his flashlight snatched from his grasp and hurled several feet away. When he retrieved it, the beam revealed claw-like marks gouged into the rock face, as though something, or someone, had tried to escape from within. The psychological impact of visiting the slaughter pen farm cannot be overstated. Even seasoned skeptics admit to feeling uneasy as they traverse its uneven terrain, their instincts screaming that they are not alone. Shadows seem to stretch unnaturally, twisting into humanoid shapes before dissolving into darkness. The rustling of leaves takes on a sinister quality, resembling whispered warnings or urgent pleas for help. Some visitors report catching glimpses of spectral faces peering at them from behind trees or rocks, their expressions frozen in masks of terror or rage. These visual anomalies are fleeting but unforgettable, embedding themselves in the minds of those who witness them. Paranormal researchers have conducted numerous investigations at the slaughter pen farm, drawn by its reputation as a hotspot for residual hauntings. Using advanced technology such as thermal imaging cameras and electromagnetic field detectors, teams have documented intriguing anomalies that suggest the presence of unexplained phenomena. Thermal footage captures fleeting heat signatures moving erratically across the landscape, while EMF readings spike dramatically in areas associated with intense combat. Audio recordings revealed disembodied voices muttering indistinct phrases, some of which translate to fragmented orders or desperate cries for assistance. Perhaps most unsettling is the discovery of objects inexplicably rearranged or displaced, suggesting an intelligent presence interacting with the environment. What sets the slaughter pen farm apart from other haunted locations is its ability to evoke primal fears. The isolation, combined with the knowledge of the atrocities that occurred there, creates a perfect storm of psychological unease. To step onto the farm is to enter a liminal space, a threshold between worlds where the boundaries between past and present blur dangerously. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow cast by the setting sun, carries the potential for an encounter with the unknown. Yet, amid the terror lies a poignant reminder of sacrifice. The slaughter pen farm may be haunted, but it also symbolizes the courage of those who fought and died for causes larger than themselves. Every footprint preserved in the soil, every whisper carried on the breeze, serves as a tribute to the countless lives shaped, or ended, by this hallowed ground. To explore the slaughter pen farm is to confront not only the supernatural, but also the enduring scars of history. And as you emerge back into the light, blinking against the brightness, you may find yourself haunted less by fear and more by reverence, for the stories etched into the darkness, and the spirits who refuse to be silenced. The blood-stained halls of the Pry House, a surgeon's nightmare perched atop a gentle rise overlooking the Antietam Battlefield, the Pry House stands as a somber testament to the horrors of war and the ingenuity and limitations of Civil War-era medicine. Originally built as a private residence in the 1840s, the house was commandeered by Union forces during the Battle of Antietam and transformed into a makeshift field hospital under the direction of Major Jonathan Letterman, often regarded as the father of modern military medicine. While the Pry House played a pivotal role in saving countless lives, it also became a crucible of suffering, where the line between life and death blurred in ways that left an indelible imprint on its walls, and perhaps its spirit. The Pry House's transformation into a medical facility began on the eve of the battle, as wagons laden with supplies and stretchers arrived to prepare for the inevitable influx of wounded soldiers. By the end of the bloodiest day in American history, the house was overwhelmed with casualties. Amputations were performed on kitchen tables, floors ran slick with blood, and the air grew thick with the acrid scent of chloroform and gangrene. Surgeons worked tirelessly, their hands trembling from exhaustion, as they made impossible decisions about who would live and who would die. Though Major Letterman's innovations, such as triage systems and ambulance corps, saved many lives, the sheer scale of injuries ensured that death lingered in every corner of the Pry House. Today, the Pry House is preserved as part of the National Museum of Civil War Medicine, offering visitors a glimpse into the grueling realities faced by doctors and nurses during the conflict. Yet, alongside its historical significance lies a darker reputation, that of a haunted dwelling where the spirits of the wounded and the weary refuse to depart. Staff members and visitors alike recount chilling encounters that defy logical explanation, suggesting that the house retains echoes of its traumatic past. One of the most persistent legends revolves around a young soldier whose leg was amputated in the upstairs bedroom turned operating theater. According to local lore, the man succumbed to infection shortly after surgery, his final moments spent writhing in agony as fever consumed him. Decades later, visitors touring the house have reported hearing faint groans emanating from the second floor, accompanied by the rhythmic creak of floorboards as though someone, or something, is pacing back and forth. Some claim to see the faint outline of a figure lying prone on the bed, his bandaged stump visible beneath the sheets. Attempts to investigate further often result in an overwhelming sense of dread, prompting many to flee the room in search of fresh air. The kitchen, once the site of frantic surgical procedures, is another hotspot of paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning or organizing artifacts have described feeling sudden, searing pain in their limbs, as though phantom knives are slicing through flesh. Others report seeing tools used during surgeries, scalpels, bone saws, and tourniquets, shift positions on their own, despite being secured behind glass cases. On several occasions, museum staff have arrived in the morning to find puddles of water pooling on the floor near the hearth, though no leaks or plumbing issues exist. Some interpret these occurrences as signs of restless spirits attempting to recreate the chaos of the battlefield, while others believe they are cries for recognition from those who perished in anonymity. Even the exterior of the Pry House exudes an unsettling aura. Late-night passers-by often report seeing shadowy figures standing on the porch, their silhouettes illuminated by lantern light that appears to emanate from within the house itself. Upon closer inspection, however, the figures vanish, leaving behind only the faint scent of antiseptic and gunpowder. Inside, tour guides recount moments when groups of visitors have collectively experienced sudden drops in temperature, accompanied by the sensation of being watched. One guide recalls leading a group through the parlor when a child pointed toward the ceiling and exclaimed, "There's a man bleeding!" Startled, the adults looked up to see what appeared to be a crimson stain spreading across the plaster, an apparition that faded as quickly as it appeared. Paranormal investigators have long been fascinated by the Pry House's haunted reputation, conducting multiple expeditions in hopes of unraveling its mysteries. Using tools such as thermal imaging cameras and digital audio recorders, researchers have captured compelling evidence of supernatural activity. EVP recordings revealed disembodied voices whispering phrases like, "Help me," or "It hurts," while thermal footage shows fleeting heat signatures moving through walls and closed doors. Most chillingly, one team captured a photograph of a translucent figure standing in the doorway of the operating room, clad in a surgeon's coat and holding a blood-stained scalpel. Skeptics argue that such findings could be attributed to environmental factors or equipment malfunctions, but for those who've experienced the house's spectral side, there's little doubt that something, or someone, is watching. What makes the Pry House uniquely terrifying is its ability to evoke both awe and apprehension. It is a place where innovation and compassion intersected with unimaginable suffering, leaving behind a legacy of triumph and tragedy. Walking through its halls, one cannot help but feel the weight of countless lives hanging in the balance, their fates decided within its blood-stained walls. Shadows seem to stretch unnaturally, sounds distort unpredictably, and the very air feels charged with energy, as though the spirits of surgeons and soldiers alike remain tethered to the site of their greatest trials. For those brave enough to visit, the Pry House offers a rare opportunity to engage with history in a profoundly visceral way. Whether you're exploring the exhibits detailing Major Letterman's groundbreaking techniques or simply standing in the quiet solitude of the upstairs bedroom, the house demands respect, not just for its medical achievements, but for the haunted souls who call it home. As you take your final steps through its hallowed halls, remember, the blood that stains the Pry House runs deeper than mere pigment. It carries the memories of those who fought, bled, and died within its embrace, and their whispers linger still. A siege that refuses to fade in the annals of Civil War history. Few battles evoke the raw intensity of racial tension and brutality as vividly as the siege of Fort Pillow, Tennessee. Perched atop a bluff overlooking the Mississippi River, this Union stronghold became the site of one of the conflict's most controversial and horrific episodes on April 12, 1864. Under the command of Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest, rebel forces launched a ferocious assault on the fort, which was defended primarily by African American troops and white Union loyalists. What followed was not merely a military engagement but a massacre, an event historians have described as a calculated act of racial violence that left an indelible scar on the nation's conscience. The attack began at dawn, with Forrest's cavalry launching a surprise assault that overwhelmed the undermanned garrison. Despite fierce resistance, the defenders were quickly outflanked and driven back toward the river. Chaos erupted as Union soldiers attempted to surrender, only to be met with merciless gunfire. Survivors' accounts paint a harrowing picture. Black soldiers were singled out for execution, shot down even as they raised their hands in surrender. Women and children who had sought refuge within the fort were not spared, their cries drowned out by the relentless barrage of bullets. By the time the smoke cleared, nearly half of Fort Pillow's defenders lay dead, their bodies strewn across the battlefield or dumped unceremoniously into mass graves. The aftermath of the siege sparked outrage across the North, with newspapers and abolitionists condemning the Confederates' actions as a war crime. The phrase, "Remember Fort Pillow," became a rallying cry for African American soldiers, fueling their resolve to fight against slavery and systemic oppression. Yet, for all the attention it garnered, the true horror of Fort Pillow extended far beyond the immediate bloodshed. The massacre left behind a psychic wound that refuses to heal, its echoes reverberating through the years in ways both tangible and supernatural. Today, Fort Pillow State Historic Park stands as a memorial to the tragedy, preserving the ruins of the earthen fortifications and offering interpretive exhibits that recount its violent past. But beneath its serene facade lies a darker truth. The site is widely regarded as one of the most haunted locations in the United States. Visitors and park rangers alike report experiencing phenomena that defy explanation, suggesting that the spirits of those who perished here continue to roam the grounds, unable, or unwilling, to move on. One of the most chilling accounts involves sightings of ghostly figures dressed in tattered Union uniforms, their faces etched with terror and defiance. Witnesses described seeing these apparitions pacing along the remnants of the fort's walls, peering out over the river as though scanning for approaching enemies. Others claimed to have encountered shadowy forms standing silently among the trees, their presence marked by an oppressive weight in the air. On several occasions, tourists have reported feeling sudden, searing pain in their chests or backs, as though struck by phantom bullets, a visceral reminder of the violence that unfolded here. Sound phenomena are equally prevalent at Fort Pillow, adding another layer of eeriness to the experience. Visitors recount hearing the unmistakable roar of cannon fire and the sharp crack of muskets, despite the absence of reenactments or nearby construction. The cries of the wounded and dying are said to echo through the forest, mingling with the rustling leaves and distant calls of birds. One particularly haunting incident involved a family picnicking near the park's entrance who suddenly found themselves surrounded by the cacophony of battle. Their dog cowered and whimpered, reacting to sounds they could not hear, while the children screamed and clung to their parents. When the noise abruptly ceased, an eerie stillness settled over the area, leaving the family too shaken to remain. Vicksburg, Mississippi, occupies a unique place in the pantheon of Civil War history. Known as the Gibraltar of the Confederacy, this strategic stronghold on the Mississippi River became the focal point of a brutal campaign that lasted from May to July 1863. The siege of Vicksburg was not merely a battle but a prolonged ordeal of starvation, bombardment, and psychological warfare. For 47 grueling days, Union forces under General Ulysses S. Grant encircled the city, cutting off supplies and bombarding its defenses with relentless artillery fire. Civilians and soldiers alike were forced into underground caves carved into the hillsides to escape the shelling, transforming the city into a subterranean labyrinth of desperation. The fall of Vicksburg on July 4, 1863, marked a turning point in the war, splitting the Confederacy in two and solidifying Union control of the Mississippi River. Yet, the scars of the siege run deeper than history books can capture. They linger in the very fabric of the city, where the spirits of those who endured the ordeal refuse to fade. Today, Vicksburg stands as a living monument to the horrors of the Civil War, its streets and structures steeped in stories of sacrifice and survival. Yet, beneath its storied past lies a darker narrative, one of spectral encounters and unexplained phenomena that suggests the siege's impact transcends the boundaries of time. Visitors to Vicksburg often describe an atmosphere unlike any other Civil War site, where the weight of history feels palpable, and the air hums with an unsettling energy. From the crumbling ruins of antebellum homes to the shadowy alleys of the historic district, the city seems alive with the echoes of its turbulent past. One of the most iconic haunted locations in Vicksburg is McRaven House, often referred to as the most haunted house in Mississippi. Built in stages between 1797 and 1836, this antebellum mansion predates the Civil War but played a significant role during the conflict. Used as a makeshift hospital and refuge for civilians during the siege, the house bore witness to countless tragedies. Its rooms became impromptu operating theaters, where amputations were performed without anesthesia, and its basement served as a shelter for terrified families seeking refuge from the relentless shelling. Today, McRaven House is renowned for its paranormal activity, with visitors reporting encounters that range from eerie to downright terrifying. Eyewitnesses describe seeing ghostly figures wandering the halls of McRaven House, their forms flickering in and out of existence like candle flames. Some claim to have seen a woman in a flowing gown descending the staircase, her face obscured by a veil, while others report hearing the faint sound of children laughing or crying in empty rooms. Cold spots are prevalent throughout the house, particularly in the basement, where temperatures plummet without warning. Visitors often feel an oppressive weight pressing down on them, as though the anguish of those who took shelter there still lingers in the air. More disturbingly, some have reported physical interactions with unseen entities, being pushed, scratched, or even choked by an invisible force. Beyond McRaven House, the entire city of Vicksburg seems to pulse with supernatural energy. The Old Courthouse Museum, a grand Greek revival structure completed in 1860, is said to harbor the spirits of soldiers and civilians who perished during the siege. Tour guides recount stories of shadowy figures standing in the courtroom, their silhouettes illuminated by the dim light filtering through stained glass windows. Others describe hearing the faint shuffle of boots on the marble floors or the sound of papers rustling in deserted offices. During renovations in the 1990s, workers refused to enter certain areas after repeatedly encountering disembodied voices and inexplicable temperature fluctuations. The city's network of caves, once a lifeline for its residents, now serves as a haunting reminder of the siege's toll. Carved into the soft lush soil, these underground shelters provided temporary safety from the Union bombardment, but came at a cost. Cramped, damp, and poorly ventilated, the caves claimed lives through suffocation, disease, and cave-ins. Today, tours of the caves reveal an eerie atmosphere, where the faint scent of earth and decay mingles with the sound of dripping water. Visitors report feeling an overwhelming sense of claustrophobia, even in spacious chambers, as though the walls are slowly closing in. Some claim to hear whispers echoing through the tunnels, while others describe seeing shadowy figures darting just beyond the reach of their flashlights. Vicksburg's haunted reputation extends beyond individual sites to encompass the city as a whole. Residents speak of ghostly apparitions roaming the streets at night, their translucent forms illuminated by streetlights. The sound of cannon fire occasionally echoes through the air, startling those unfamiliar with the phenomenon. Even mundane activities, such as walking through the historic district or visiting local shops, are tinged with an uncanny sense of being watched. For those who dare to explore Vicksburg after dark, the experience is akin to stepping into a nightmare, one where the line between reality and imagination blurs dangerously. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to Vicksburg, captivated by its rich tapestry of historical and supernatural intrigue. Using tools like infrared cameras, EMF detectors, and audio recording devices, researchers have captured compelling evidence of unexplained phenomena. Thermal imaging footage reveals fleeting heat signatures appearing and disappearing without explanation, while EVP recordings capture disembodied voices speaking in languages consistent with those spoken during the Civil War era. Perhaps most chillingly, one team reported capturing a photograph of a soldier-like figure standing atop a hill, his silhouette illuminated by the glow of dawn, a poignant reminder of those who stood watch over the same horizon nearly 2 centuries ago. What makes Vicksburg uniquely terrifying is its ability to evoke both awe and apprehension. It is a place where history and horror collide, where the triumphs of war are tempered by the tragedies of human suffering. Walking through its streets, one cannot help but feel overwhelmed by the enormity of what transpired there. Shadows seem to stretch unnaturally, sounds distort unpredictably, and the very air feels charged with energy, as though the spirits of soldiers and civilians alike remain tethered to the site of their greatest trials. For those brave enough to visit, Vicksburg offers a rare opportunity to engage with history in a profoundly visceral way. Whether you're exploring the exhibits detailing the siege's strategic importance, or simply standing in the quiet solitude of the city's historic district, Vicksburg demands respect, not just for its role in shaping the course of the Civil War, but for the haunted souls who call it home. As you take your final steps through its hallowed streets, remember, the echoes of Vicksburg's past run deeper than mere memory. They carry the voices of those who fought, bled, and died within its embrace, and their whispers linger still. As we draw this harrowing journey through the most haunted Civil War sites in the United States to a close, let us pause to reflect on the profound weight of the stories we've uncovered. From the blood-soaked fields of Gettysburg to the spectral streets of Vicksburg, from the cursed tunnels of Andersonville to the ghostly halls of the Pry House, each location bears witness to the enduring scars of a conflict that reshaped a nation. These sites are not merely relics of history, they are living testaments to the resilience of the human spirit and the haunting persistence of memory. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, it lingers, it whispers, and sometimes it screams. The Civil War was more than a series of battles and strategies. It was a crucible of human emotion, a collision of ideals and ideologies that left an indelible mark on the American psyche. The spirits that haunt these places are not mere figments of imagination. They are fragments of lives interrupted, voices yearning to be heard, and souls seeking resolution. Whether viewed as residual energies imprinted on the landscape or intelligent entities reaching out across time, these phenomena compel us to confront the uncomfortable truths of our shared history. They demand that we remember the sacrifices, honor the fallen, and acknowledge the wounds that have yet to heal. In exploring these haunted sites, we have not only delved into the supernatural, but also unearthed the raw humanity of the Civil War. Each ghostly encounter, each chilling whisper, serves as a bridge between then and now, a reminder that the struggles of the past continue to shape the present. These places invite us to listen, to feel, and to bear witness to the stories that might otherwise fade into obscurity. They challenge us to look beyond the surface and recognize the interconnectedness of all things, the living and the dead, the seen and the unseen. This exploration of haunted Civil War sites is far from over. In part 2 of our series, we will venture even deeper into the shadows, uncovering more chilling tales and forgotten legends. We'll step into places where time,